You, Charlene,
Yes?
you want me off camera too, even though like I'm not there? Yeah, okay.
I think so. Okay, so it is 6:06. I will call the meeting to order. Haisepka, Quanasalaska Kipa Tanaquail. Tasia Talatash the Nemoch, Mustimoch, Nihak, Wushasta Tanaquail. Thank everybody for gathering here today, and I give my highest gratitude to the people of Snuneymuxw, whose territory we're meeting on this evening. We have no transfer of items to the open meeting agenda. Were there any additions, deletions, or change in order from trustees? Seeing none, is there any objection to approving the agenda as presented? With no objections, the agenda is approved. Takes us to section 7 on our agenda this evening, that the minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting held on February 23rd, 2022, and the special board meeting of education held on February 15th, 2022 be adopted. Moved by Greg and seconded by Tanya. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to section 8, section 72.3 of the report. Just going to note an abstention from Chantel on the February 23rd minutes. So the recommended motion is that the section 72.3 report from the closed Board of Education meeting on February 23rd, 2022 be received. Moved by Stephanie, seconded by Greg. Is there anyone opposed to the motion or abstention? The motion carries unanimously. Announcements and reminders. Education Committee meeting will be held on April 6th, 2022. Business Committee meeting April 13th, 2022. Our regular Board of Education meeting for April will be on the 27th. Also acknowledging that we will be returning from spring break March 28th, and Good Friday occurs on April 15th with Easter Monday on April 18th. Schools will be closed those 2 days. So, new business. It's my honor to take a moment this evening to speak to MP Lisa Marie Barron. I really want to call her Trustee Barron, but that's not her title anymore. The Board of Education had a discussion following the federal election and following your resignation that we wanted to find the right opportunity to acknowledge the work that you did as a school board trustee in serving the school district. And so I was asked to consider a gift that we would like to give and share with you some words of appreciation on behalf of the board. And so we've chosen to gift you a blanket, traditional to Coast Salish tradition in the territories that we serve. We've also chosen a book regarding truth and reconciliation in residential schools, as I know that was one of the most important things to you, was you did your work here representing your constituents as well as the students in the district. And I just want to take a moment to highlight the diversity of view that you brought to the table. It's no question that our board, elected officials in general, often come from a place of privilege, and you ensured that we never forgot that, and that our service to the community and to the students of Nanaimo Ladysmith was a privilege, and one that we should respect and dutifully hold, always holding students at the center of our work. I've found myself in the last little while very reflective of our conversations that we go through, acknowledging that if there was one thing that there's an echo that you leave behind, it's that equity is not equality. And what one student needs is not what another student needs. And that the diversity of our students and what they need is the key to our success in meeting them each where they're at. And then making sure that we can consider those needs as we look at how we support our system and allow our staff to have what they need to do their jobs the best possible for the benefit of the students. And so on behalf of the board, I want to thank you for that. It's a legacy that you're leaving with us. It's an echo that will outlast all of us that are sitting here. And we're grateful for all of the work that you've done. But most importantly, I think all of us gained a friend. And it's been a change, but we know that you're doing incredible work in your new position. We're watching you from afar and cheering you on, and we wish you all the luck in the world. Isepka, CMCIA. Feel free. Go ahead.
Just like old times. Figure out the microphone. Well, that brought tears to my eyes. Thank you. It's surreal, I will say. I think I'm still in disbelief that I'm not a school board trustee. There's moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not a school board trustee anymore. It's hard to believe it's been just over 5 months since I got elected as member of parliament, and it's just surreal, you know, to think that it's been 5 months already. I just want to say thank you for your thoughtfulness and for your kind words. I want to say thank you to each of my previous colleagues and school board trustees. I can say with confidence that I learned so many important lessons from each and every one of you. And to the newly elected Trustee Bailey, welcome. I'm very, very optimistic about this board and the work to follow. I wanted to say thank you to the staff that worked alongside me while I was here. I would have been lost without you, literally, on many occasions. And I mean, it's clear your hard work. It shines through the students. We can see this is an amazing district, and it's because of the hard work and dedication and passion of the many staff members, including yourselves, that this district is such an amazing one for our students. I also wanted to say thank you to the community who put their trust in me to take on the role as school board trustee for the time that I did. It was such an honor to take on this role and to serve our students and our families and our communities. And I'm very proud of the work that we accomplished in the time that I was here as trustee. And I'm also very, very excited about the work to come. This feels like a bit of a closure of my time as a school board trustee, but it's definitely not the end of our time working together. I'm very optimistic about the work that we're able to do together in serving our communities and our positions as elected officials. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to the work to come, because there's still a lot of work to be done in our roles as me as member of parliament now, and you as an amazing school board. Thank you. I think I turned it back on. Thank you so much. Sure. I wish that everybody could do it, but that took a lot of work and all the meetings. You're always telling me.
Thank you. And thank you for making the time tonight. Yes, thank you so much. Very thoughtful. Thank you. I do miss you all.
Thank you. Okay, I have my breath back now. So now we'll move into our presentations on our agenda. Zonta Club of Nanaimo, hopefully I have said that correctly. I'd like to invite our speaker this evening to present to us on an invitation to a May 9th event regarding human and sex trafficking. And so I don't share my typical spiel that I share. You have 10 minutes, and after you have concluded sharing your information, trustees will have an opportunity to ask you some questions. And with that, I will pass it over to you. Welcome. Let's make sure that we get you unmuted. Let's see. One sec. Okay, so we cannot unmute you. We've unmuted you on our system, but there seems to be something. Is it working? There we go. Welcome.
Welcome. Can you also unmute Lexi, Claudia, and Dean, please? Thank you. Good evening, trustees. It is my great honor to introduce our students. Their name is Claudia, Dean, and Alexandra. And also I'd like to say good evening to our esteemed management team and any guests who we have online, because we can't see who is online. So we are grateful for the event that you allow us to come and speak. It is an event from Zonta. We would like to save a date for you to hold aside. Actually, it's incorrect in your agenda. It should be May the 6th. If you could correct that pretty please. The poster what you have already says May the 6th, but I would prefer if you could fix it to May the 6th, please. So if I could give you a quick preamble, I'm currently the president of Zonta Club, and we have the honor to have two VIU students, Dean and Claudia, joining us, and they're doing a practicum with us, which led us to have this fantastic idea to work on one of our goals, and they will go and explain that. So our goal is to share this event with you, to help us to share it with the high schools. Our invitation is open to high school students from Student Council. Minimum 2 students per school we would like to see. If you have a counselor who would like to come, we would welcome it. It is an idea which came from our international organization, and we would like to make it into a steady event in Nanaimo. This is going to be our first event, and you will have an invitation from us every single year. Also, our club is working in conjunctions with VIU in hoping to have students doing practicum with us for this great cause, and you will hear the spiel from the kids. And then if you have any questions after that, let us know. And so it is my pleasure to let Claudia, Dean take over to speak, and Lexi is going to stay in the background. Here we go, take it over.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Awesome, okay. So hello everyone. Oh, it's echoing. Okay, my name is Claudia Fletcher.
Hi, and I'm Dean Hanna.
And first, we would like to thank you for having us and allowing us to speak and share our presentation with you on behalf of the Zonta organization. We are fourth-year criminology, psychology, and addiction studies students at Vancouver Island University, and are grateful to have the opportunity to work with Zonta organization for our practicum placement as part of our degree requirement. So Zonta is a leading global organization of professionals empowering women worldwide through service and advocacy. Zonta provides programs aimed at advocating for gender equality, ending gender-based violence, ending child marriages, ending and expanding access to education. So Zonta is a proud partner with organizations and coalitions worldwide that share the vision of a world in which women's rights are recognized as human rights and every woman can achieve her full potential. By partnering with like-minded organizations, Zonta extends its reach and impact to empower more women and girls worldwide. Zonta International partners include the United Nations Population Fund, UNICEF USA, United Nations Women, Girls Not Brides, Coalition to End Violence Against Women and Girls Globally, and Women's Empowerment Principles.
Awesome. Thank you, Claudia. And Claudia and I would like to extend the humble request on behalf of Zonta for the Nanaimo Ladysmith School Board to disseminate to the faculty and students at high schools in this district information concerning the Zonta organization, its resources, and our one-day event occurring Friday, May 6th, 2022 at the Nanaimo Golf Club from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The event will include lunch and feature guest speakers, activities, and education on what human trafficking is, how human traffickers use social media dangers and safety tools, how to stop suspicious profiles, and how to spot signs of abuse and grooming, as well as other prevention methods. Due to the accessibility of our surrounding port cities, human trafficking in our area is a prevalent issue that has been affecting women, families, and the community. The advances in technology and the creation of social media have now opened new avenues and made it easier for sex traffickers to access young women online. According to Kathy Peters, women's activist and founder of the Be Amazing campaign, youth in British Columbia from ages 10 to 14 are the average age for recruitment in the sex industry, and 90% of the luring, grooming, buying, and selling occurs online. Furthermore, about 50% of youth trafficked for sexual exploitation in British Columbia are Indigenous girls. Although these stats and facts are daunting, our goal at Zonta is not to scare or create fear amongst young women, but instead to educate and share the Zonta organization's mission, resources, and prevention methods. Zonta would like to sponsor one student from each high school in this district, and their ticket admission for the event will be paid for. Again, we are hoping that the school board will help promote this event within high schools and the message will reach as many students as possible.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you. I would just like to add, actually, we have upped the numbers. We have at least 2 students per school. You missed our March 8th meeting. Sorry, I didn't get it out to you. So okay. 2 students for sure. And if you know if there would be any counselor as well to join us, that would be great. We extend this invitation to you also. It's invited. Invitation is extended to our RCMP members, our mayor, and the counselors as well. And as I said, we are hoping to grow the event to be quite an anchored function in our city. Currently, there isn't much happening. Also, the students and with the research, they are going to pull their local resources together. So if it could be at any help at any time for School Day 668 or to be any kind of resources, we'd love it. And so if we have any questions, we're open for it.
About the organization. Trustees, do we have any questions this evening? Okay. Oh, Greg?
Just to clarify through the chair, so are we able to ask staff questions or is this just questions for the presenter?
Questions are only.
Okay, thanks. Then I guess not. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome, Greg.
Thank you. How much, sorry, I need to mute here. No, I'm muted. Okay, sorry, I thought I was echoing. I just was wondering how many tickets are there available overall for the event and where people can get tickets?
Our event is going to be held at Nanaimo Golf Club.
Yeah.
We can take up to 130 people.
130.
With the seating arrangements. We are allowing up to 30 for the students because this event is mainly for the students. But in order to cover the costs, I have to have a ticketed sale and cover the lunch prices. So we are offering the lunches for free for the students. And so if you could work with the 30 number would be great. Our goal would be to be at the Port Theatre that once upon a time we were with School District 668, right? Mr. Davis remembered and he was our hero at that time. So we want to learn from him and we want to do this to that event again, right? So that's the goal. We start at the golf club, we finish at the Port Theatre, okay?
Superintendent?
Let me see your smiling face.
Hi, Andrea. Nice to see you again.
Likewise, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thanks very much for the presentation, Claudia, Dean, and Andrea. And so I'll commit today to ensure we fill those seats. We will share and promote this event widely with our secondary school students and ensure that the event is successful. And thank you very much to all of you for doing this most important work. Hajka.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Scott. I don't see any other questions for our presenters this evening, so it's with gratitude that I thank you for coming and providing the opportunity for our students as well as some of our staff members to attend the event. And I'm grateful our superintendent will be making those arrangements. So we look
Thank
forward
you.
to staying connected and seeing how it goes for you. Thanks very much.
Good night.
Take care. All right. So that takes us into the next section of our agenda. Correspondence, 12.1, a letter from Anne Charette. And I just would also like to acknowledge the notation in your agenda this evening. Please see the frequently asked questions regarding vaccine mandate for employees. That's on our website. There is a link in the agenda if you found the agenda online. The recommended motion for this correspondence is that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, refer the above correspondence from N. Charette to be received and filed. Is there a mover? Moved by Stephanie and seconded by Greg. And is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing no discussion, I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Motion carries unanimously. 12.2. I have a letter from Christina Zacharuk, Deputy Minister, that the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, refer the above correspondence from Deputy Minister Zacharuk to be received and filed. Is there a mover? Moved by Tanya. And a second by Greg. Questions on the motion? Stephanie?
Thank you. It's sort of pursuant to the process here. I feel like this letter has come later in the year than in previous years. Am I correct?
I have to look at the date on it.
It says February 22nd, and we sent in the letter, the request letter on October 15th.
My recollection is that usually I get these emails in late January, so
Okay.
perhaps there's been a slight shift,
Okay.
but fairly close to what it's been in the past.
Okay. For some reason, I had it in my head that it was the fall, and it's hard for us to spend that money when we don't find out until the end of February that we're allowed to keep it, and it's from last year's money. It just seems like it's a flawed process. So anyway,
For sure. Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? With no one opposed, the motion carries unanimously. That takes us into committee reports. 13.1, Business Committee. Go ahead, Greg.
Thanks. So we have two motions this evening. The first one is on draft policy participation in regional growth and planning, and it reads as follows. That the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, receive the draft policy participation in regional growth and planning and circulate as a notice of motion for 30 days utilizing the consultation process as per board governance section 1, 2.7 policy development.
Thank you. And is there a second? Stephanie? You want to speak to the motion, Greg?
Just confirm with our chair if she would like to speak as the chair of the policy committee first.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I think this has, gone through the policy committee review. We've had a really good discussion and debate, and I think we've landed in a good place, and I fully support the motion.
Great. Any other discussion on the motion? Tanya?
I also support the motion, and I want to give a little thanks to Trustee Keller for his particular assistance in this particular policy was a tough one for me to grasp. I had a lot of questions about it and things I didn't understand, and he has, because of his professional background, was able to answer a lot of my questions in a way that was very easy to understand without making me feel stupid. So thank you for that, Trustee Keller.
I have to say I agree. It was a topic we weren't too sure about, and we landed with a pretty great draft for the public to provide us some feedback on. So I don't see any other discussion on the motion. So I will call the question. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Takes us to 13.1.2. Greg?
Thank you. So this is the second business committee motion for this evening, and it reads as follows. That the Board of Education of School District number 68, Nanaimo Ladysmith, received the draft revised policy 2.16, accumulated operating surplus reserves policy, and circulate as a notice of motion for 30 days utilizing the consultation process as per Board Governance Section 1, 2.7 Policy Development.
Okay. And is there a second? Seconded by Elaine. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll just briefly say thanks to staff and the policy committee for their work on this this draft. So this is something coming forward to help the district essentially ensure that we're following best practices when it comes to our operating surplus and reserve. So I will be in support of the motion.
Great, thank you. Mark, our Secretary Treasurer, has a comment to share with the board.
Thanks, Charlotte. So in the business committee, there was a notation about how we had sent the policy back to the ministry for any further comment. We'd already consulted with them. We've had a couple of minor comments from them, which we thought if the board passed tonight, we'll bring back as part of the feedback in 30 days. So there will be a couple of requested changes. For instance, the actual word reserves might be problematic. We'll bring back why, but generally they're supportive of the policy as drafted. But again, we'll have those comments as part of our feedback in 30 days.
Thank you. We really wanted to get that reserves word in there, so I look forward to finding out about what that feedback is. I will speak in favor of this motion. I think that the prior board did some really did a lot of the legwork to make sure that our district was well positioned with regard to reserve funds in the district. And so this is a natural point in time for us to review, bring us into alignment with ministry reporting requirements, and ensure that we're meeting all of our obligatory requirements, as well as ensuring that we're transparent in the process that we use to address any surplus funds that arise out of any given school year. And so I'm very supportive of hearing what the public feels about this particular policy. Anyone else want to speak to this? Stephanie?
Thanks. I'm grateful for this policy in hopes that it really helps with the transparency around the notion of an operating surplus. In particular, the importance of those funds to go towards contingencies when you're operating a system the size of ours, and the need for that. So I'm hoping that this, I'm really hopeful that this does help with that ongoing conversation, that tension that we have all the time, that, about what a surplus is, but more importantly, what it's not. So I'm grateful for this policy. I think it builds on the previous policy that we had in place. I'm glad we had one, because it's not as difficult for us to implement this as it may be for some boards who didn't have existing surplus policies. But I think this will increase transparency, which I think in the long run will help those community-based conversations on our budget allocations. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. Anyone else want to speak to it? Okay, then I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? If no one opposed, the motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thanks, Greg. We don't have anything from the Education Committee this month, which takes us into senior staff reports. 14.1, Mark Walsh, Secretary Treasurer, on South Wellington bylaw.
sorry.
You can sit. Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
so just declare a conflict for the purposes of the minutes, but no requirement to leave this cap participating in the debate. That's the public.
Go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Chair. So just before we start this item, I'd just like to declare that I will be declaring a conflict and will be participating in this particular item because of my employer. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Stanley? Jessica, I went reverted.
Yeah, thank you. I actually have to declare a conflict as well because I am a member of the Community Association of South Wellington that will be maybe working on this. So thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So we've had conflict declared by Trustee Stanley and Trustee Keller for the minutes. And that I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so this evening, we're here to cross the finish line with respect to what is looking like an excellent partnership between the Regional District of Nanaimo and the board. So just a brief history for the multitudes watching out there in the public is that we a number of years ago, the board had on its capital plan a request to actually demolish the site of the closed South Wellington Elementary School. And really for good reason, the board isn't funded for the maintenance of closed facilities. The facility had some serious seismic requirements as well as the need to do upgrades if it was even to be rented out, as an example. And so when we got approval from the ministry, or tentative approval for the ministry to proceed with demolition, the board asked staff to go out and consult with our public again to see what the potential opportunities to preserve the facility, perhaps for community use of some kind without impacting the board's ability to serve our broader mandate of open K-12 schools. And so here's a situation where the RDN came forward with support from the community to look at a potential lease. And so what our interests were in the negotiation was that facility is to be there, not to actually get rid of the land, just in case at some point theoretically the board might need the facility, but also, the land, but also to ensure that the board wouldn't necessarily have to maintain the building using K-12 dollars, as well as if we were to ever need it, it would be in a position, hopefully, to be that it would be seismically upgraded and available for use. And so the RDN was amenable to this, and so we've agreed, and the board, of course, has supported that the board will get $0 from the lease for 25 years. However, the RDN has agreed to make significant investments in the facility that's going to bring it back to community use and a seismically upgraded state. So 25 years from now, or I think when the number is when we sign the dotted line, if the board supports the bylaw this evening, then the clock is ticking for us to sign. I think 60 days after signature, it will be in the RDN's hands for 25 years. And then I know all of us will be at this table 25 years from now to determine the next steps with respect to the facility. And so again, you'll see a letter from the ministry again supporting the concept, and it's just want to say what an honor and a privilege to be able to work on such a positive project, and wholeheartedly recommend the board have a look at the bylaw and pass that tonight for us to proceed.
Thank you very much. I'll take that under advisement about how long we'll all be sitting here together. Okay, so we have, as a notation, we do have a bylaw in front of us, so it requires that we pass the first motion unanimously, which is regarding that we withhold all 3 readings of the bylaw this evening. And so we'll start with that one. Is there someone that would like to move that? And let me know if you'd like me to read it or if you have it in front of me. Stephanie?
Buttons to push. There we go. I will read the first motion, which that the Board of Education of School District 68 Nanaimo Ladysmith adopts all 3 readings of the disposal of real property bylaw number 2021-22-1 for a long-term lease of the South Wellington Elementary School site to the Regional District of Nanaimo at its regular board meeting on March 9th, 2022.
Thank you. And a second by Naomi. Stephanie, do you want to speak to the motion?
Not this one, but the next ones.
All right. Thank you. I don't see any discussion on this motion, so I'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed? With none opposed, the motion carries. Thank you. There's a second motion. Looking for a mover. Stephanie, go ahead.
So it's with glee and excitement that I move the first reading that the Board of Education of School District number 68 Nanaimo Ladysmith adopts the disposal of real property bylaw number 2021-22-1 for a long-term lease of the South Wellington Elementary School site to the Regional District of Nanaimo, and that it be given first reading.
And a second. Tanya, go ahead, Stephanie.
Thanks. I am giddy about this for a lot of reasons. I think that one, this actually really exemplifies the board goal of being a leader in sustainability, reusing a building and finding a purpose for it really speaks volumes to us living our goals. And I also, I live close to this community, and that particular property is literally the heart of that community. It is the center of the community. And for years and years and years, that school sat empty in the community. And in small communities, schools are the heart of the community. And so to see that this school building is going to, at one point having it demolished seemed like the best option to allow something vibrant to happen there again. But to see that something even better is happening, I'm just so excited about the idea of sharing a shared use facility, even though we won't be using it. But really, this sort of encompasses to me so much of what we've been trying to do with our strategic plan. And I'm really thankful and excited for the community of South Wellington to have access to a community space like that once again, and watch it. The heart of that community did not die when that school closed, but this will allow that community a lot of just a lot of real meeting space that was missing, and I'm just beyond excited for what this is going to do, and really thankful to the staff for following the board direction when we said, oh, we need to put the brakes on here, and going through and finding this really amazing project. So thank you to everyone who's making this happen. And I'm in favor, in case that's not obvious.
Thank you. So I'm going to speak to the motion. I am going to speak in favor of the motion. I had an opportunity to have the first tour of the school. I think it was 2.5 years ago, maybe. It was quite a while ago. And there were a couple of other trustees that walked through the building with me, along with some of our staff members, and they recognized the potential in the building itself. What had been long written off as something that was looked upon as useless was viewed by others as something that could be vibrant again. And I think that vision, it caught on, and other people could see the potential. And so I'm grateful that we took the time to do that at that point, and that we've been able to create a partnership, which is something that the board believes in through our long-range facilities plan, and partnering with other organizations to see betterment for the community, because communities are where our students live, and when we make it a positive place to be, and we can participate in providing opportunities like this for the betterment of students, I think that we're doing the right job as we sit around this table. So I'm in favor, and I appreciate the work that's gone into this to date. Tanya?
Also passionately in favor. This is a very proud moment to me for this board, for this district. I remember the hurt and the pain and the ups and downs in that community when the school was on the chopping block, and then off the chopping block, and then on the chopping block. And to be able to see them get access to that building again, I mean, as Stephanie said, it is truly the heart of that community. And this to me is just an amazing sign of the way we've grown and our ability to do relationship and to pivot when we need to. for the purposes of building community and building relationship. And this is good work, and this is something we should be proud of.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak to the motion? Okay, we'll call the question. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Motion carries unanimously. So we'll move on to the second reading. Do I have a reader for that? I could, Elaine, go ahead.
That the Board of Education of School District number 68 and I'm Lady Smith adopts the disposal of real property bylaw number 2021-22-1 for a long-term lease of South Wellington Elementary School site to the Regional District of Nanaimo, and that it be given the second reading.
Thank you. And a second? Naomi? Provide the opportunity just in case. Okay, thank you. I don't see any speakers to this motion, so I will call the question on the motion. Is there anyone opposed to the second reading? With no one opposed, the second reading carries unanimously. That takes me to looking for a third reader. Tanya?
Thank you. Let me just get it here. Make sure that I'm turned on my camera here. Just a sec. Sorry. All right, that the Board of Education of School District number 68, and I'm Lady Smith, adopts the disposal of real property bylaw number 21/22-1 for a long-term lease of the South Wellington Elementary School site to the Regional District of Nanaimo, and that it be given third and final reading.
Thank you. In a second. Elaine? All right. So I'll put the final reading to a vote. Is there anyone opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Jessica? Oh. Scott?
What a great evening. Did I turn it off? Let me do this. What a fantastic evening. Of course, earlier in the evening, we had Ms. Paris present, who years ago was Trustee Bonkowski and supported keeping South Wellington open for a few years. I know she would approve of us passing this bylaw. My connection to this school is that I attended South Wellington in grade 6 and grade 7 with Mr. Bob Aspen as principal. And further, we have our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Tim Davey, who was also principal of that school a few years back. So we all have this really wonderful connection to South Wellington. And I'm proud to be able to say that we have saved that building and repurposing it for a really excellent new function. So it's a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica?
So I'm speaking as a community member and not as a trustee. So, but I will say to my fellow colleagues and to staff members here, I can't thank you enough on behalf of the community of South Wellington. That community has been, I mean, Stephanie said it all really. I mean, that building is the heart of the school, and the community has put a lot of time and effort and love into trying to help to bring this forward into something that would benefit from the community. And thanks to trustees who, and I believe it was Trustee Higginson before the motion, to make the decision to go against staff recommendations at the time, without judgment on that, but that, you know what, there was an opportunity and a glimmer to do something different, and so trustees jumped on that, and staff made it happen. And I think it's going to be an incredibly beautiful thing. I am so grateful for everyone who made this happen, and I promise you that the community of South Wellington will not let you down, and we'll make something absolutely amazing out of a building that was empty and not in great shape. So when once it gets there, when the new community center opens, I hope that everyone comes and visits and see what you did a good thing. So thanks.
Thank you. Naomi? There you go.
Yay. I just want to say how excited I am about this. And I want to thank all you trustees working with the regional district to make this happen. Just because it brings back memories for me back in 1995. A little bit earlier than that, maybe, there was an addition that was put on our Worcester School. And they were going to demolish the old school. And we didn't have this kind of support. So myself and a bunch of community members, because I lived in Yellow Point, got together and we saved the school. We managed to secure some land across the road from the Gisbornes. Because everybody that wanted to save that school had a vested interest in that school. They had some sort of connection to it. And it has become a building that brings the community together. But we had to fundraise ourselves and do everything ourselves to get up to earthquake standards, everything. So I just think this is just a wonderful collaboration, and I'm just really impressed.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, I believe that concludes 14.1. So we will move to 14.2. Secretary Treasurer Walsh and Executive Director of Communications Dale Burgos on our thought exchange. We've been collecting some information up there, so we're looking forward to hearing about that this evening.
Thank you, Shar. I'm not going to put my camera on, but I am going to share my screen if I can. Let me know, Karen, when you see it. If not, I'll just walk you through the agenda, but let me just keep trying here.
There we go.
Got it? Perfect. Okay. Okay, let's get started. So first off, this is the information sheet. So page 27 of your agenda, you will find some background information on the thought exchange feedback for the 2022-2023 budget. We had launched the thought exchange. It went live on February the 23rd, and it closed just this past Monday, so March the 2nd. Now, through that process, and on that first page, you'll see the qualifier questions or the survey questions that the user of Thought Exchange will typically see. So first off, the big question, as we continue to plan the upcoming budget, what are some priorities we should consider? And of course, there's the qualifier questions right there. As you can see, we asked people to identify if they were an employee, a parent or a guardian, a student, a member of a partner group, a member of the general community, and other. And of course, we wanted to ask which region they resided as well. If you go on to page 28 of the agenda, included in the engagement plan, we did email all district staff. That was just over, I believe, what's our number now? 2,100, 2,200, maybe more. And then we also emailed the families of the school district, and that equates to about 16,000 different emails. As you can see, the summary of participants, we had a great showing, 690 participants, but I want to just focus on the thoughts and the ratings. And so the thoughts, we were at 864 individual thoughts and almost 27,000 ratings, which again, that's a significant number. If you dig down a little bit deeper into the information, who participated most in the thought exchange, you look at the pie chart there, and at 62% were parents or guardians of a student in the district. Coming up second was an employee of the district. Just a little bit further down on page 28 of the agenda, there are 3 links for you to choose, and I invite you to, if you haven't already, take a look at those a little bit later on. And what I've done there is shared the top thoughts and overall top thoughts. You'll see what the top thoughts were, and then we dug it down a little bit deeper. If you wanted to see what the top thoughts were for the district employees or the families, you can click on that as well. Further into the agenda, as my battery's dying on my laptop, I'm going to just play it by ear here. We again will go through. Oh, that's okay. I think I can handle this for the next couple seconds here. Oh, thank you, Greg. The service, I love it. Oh no, this is the wrong plug, but that's okay. There's too much technology going on. If we go on to page, I'm gonna die too.
I'm actually getting there too.
Thank you, everyone.
Mine's in my purse.
Oh, there you go. My screen's back. Okay. here we go. So page 31. So what you'll see here is a slide deck of thought exchange, and I will go through. So the first page, you see the participant numbers, you'll see the breakdown. So you've seen that already, of course, through the regions and what the top regions were. Page 33 is just the word cloud. That shows the bigger the letters in that word cloud is the more those words showed up in the thought exchange. And really, I just wanted to focus on this page, so page 34 of the agenda. It's a 19-page slide deck, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I wanted to focus on the next couple slides. And so the key thoughts, the top thoughts, if you look in bold letters, those top three: mental health supports and programming in schools, food security for children, real food in abundance, mental health, outdoor education, health, and wellness. So those are the top three thoughts. And again, you'll see that if you click on those links that was shared in the information sheet. On page 35 of the agenda, these are the AI generated themes. You'll see that the list there: miscellaneous, kids, learning, and so on and so forth. So those are, of course, in the most popular, what most popular were. But I wanted to show you page 36, which is the generated themes. And what you'll see here is the top themes: class sizes, EA, mental health. So that supports what I showed you earlier on, the top three thoughts. And then it goes on from there: support, learning, kids, children, time, a miscellaneous, and upgrades. For the following slides, and again, I won't get into each detail, but the following slides touch on each one of these AI generated themes. So if you wanted to see what class sizes were and the top thoughts in class sizes were, it'll show you right there. So keep class sizes reasonable based on feedback from teachers, class sizes, smaller class sizes, and it dug in a little bit deeper there with their further thought. Again, I won't go into the rest of the slides. I just wanted to share these top slides with you. Please take a moment to take a look at these. And for those watching at home, those thousands of viewers, please take a look at our agenda. And the information will be there for you. Thank you, Char.
Thank you. So I will open it up for questions. Anyone? Greg, go ahead.
Through the chair, so thank you, Mr. Burgos. It was good to see when we get such a good turnout for public input like that. So, 690, I believe it was, participants. That's really good. My question is, how will we see the results of this thought exchange come forward in the form of budget proposals?
Mark?
Thank you. So, through you, Madam Chair. So, a couple of things, and I think it's really important to note that as we proceed, not all of the thoughts will, of course, appear in the budget as necessary changes. But a few things that we do, and I think the board has demanded, is that the board is able to see the connection to the board's strategic goals. And so that's I think that's first and foremost, is to be able to connect the programming that we have to the goals of the board. And of course, as we get feedback from our students, from our district staff, should be looking up as well, and from our parents, is that we start to see, number one, the board's goals change, but also staff starts to come forward and does tailor some of the recommendations to the board. It can be a multi-year process. But I'll give you a couple of examples. One example is students were clamoring for access to quality, reliable Wi-Fi in schools. It wasn't immediate, but through a number of years, the board started to be able to prioritize capital funding to actually start that process. And our secondaries are done, and we're well down the path of our elementaries. And so that came directly from feedback that we got from our community, but most particularly from our students. And then, of course, when you're seeing mental health, I think course, that's going to also lead, and maybe Scott wants to kick in too on this, is that will start to lead to some of the strategies that we're choosing. And so we will be highlighting as staff, particularly those connections between what is already there or the strategies that might be happening to be able to support these demands and wants and desires. And in reality, a lot of what we're doing is reflective, I think, of some of the things that you're going to be, that you see here, that in the thought exchange. So I guess the way to say is that you will see direct links immediately, and you'll probably start to see shifting, both from a board goal perspective and a staff strategy perspective, to reflect the desires of our community. Another example is it's very funny because we had a student session. Superintendent led a student group to talk about not budget. We'll be doing that soon, but the desires of what they want to see in their school. And one of the students at the end said, "Okay, this has been a great session, but when are we going to see some action?" and I think that's taken quite seriously by staff, that we're not going to ask for feedback unless you start to see some of these things. And as we do look, mental health is continuous, and you look down the list and you see resources and supplies as an example. And one of the things that the board asked of staff and staff brought to the board, particularly at surplus time, here's funding we want to put directly into resources and supplies, because that's something that we've heard from our partners in our community. Last spring, EA's biggest investment the board, I think, has made in one go, or one of the largest investments last year, was additional EA support for our system. So you see that. Some of music, I think we're doing quite well, but that might warrant a further conversation. You even see building portable, Rutherford reopening, these kinds of things, and you can see that we're actually already having these discussions proactively. So will, in a month's time, you see the exact, oh, we're going to shift everything because we've heard this, maybe not, but it has influence on the planning. I think it has influence on the board, and it has influence on staff strategies as well.
Do you have a follow-up question? Thank you. Stephanie?
Thank you. I just, first of all, thank you for the work. And I was super bummed, it's a very professional term, to see how few students participated. And I wonder if there's not a way for us, oh, I'm supposed to turn on my camera, right? Sorry, thank you. Turning on my camera. I'm wondering, when I look at the number, sorry, I've lost my agenda because I clicked on one of the links that was in it took me somewhere else. When I look at the number, very few students participated. I think it said 3. And I just heard that there's going to be, a student forum, but I just wonder if there's not a way to increase more feedback from students. That's, I think, would be really beneficial for us to hear from the students what their experiences are. So I don't know if we're planning to get this out to them.
Okay.
Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Through you, Chair, this is, of course, the results of this survey are relatively new to us, and you are absolutely correct. We've been doing a great deal of work around bringing students in and what we call student voice, and we've had 3 sessions already, and we have some more sessions on the way. Yeah, a little disappointed myself, Trustee Higgins, and so we'll need to do something about that to garner more in the way of students responding to the survey, and we will do so.
Do you have a follow-up question? Thank you. Jessica?
Yeah, also thank you for this information. It's always great to, your consultation was good information. I do appreciate the effort we put into that. I am wondering if it's possible. I didn't see a way. Sorry, Gail's right behind me, so I just want to go like this. I didn't see a way to split up the information based on regions. So I was wondering if there was, if we would have access to that information in the format that we have available to us.
Dale?
Thank you. Through the chair to Jessica. Yes, I can. If we if you give me some time, I can go back into the report and pull it out so I can break it down by region as well. So if it's Nanaimo or Ladysmith or other, it looks like the largest number of people that participated was based out of Nanaimo. So there should be enough data that I can pull for both regions.
Great. Do you have a follow-up?
Just to say thank you.
Great. Other questions, Mark?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just the one thing to add as well is when you do look through the list, there's a number of things that the board is already doing. And so one of the takeaways for us as well, and it's been similar hearing from our students, is finding a way to communicate what we're doing, even more so. And I think kudos to Mr. Burgos and his team. I think one of the best communications department in school districts in BC, might be biased, but it's something I think is important as well, because that communication provides confidence. And so when you look at how much work is being done to try to get schools seismically safe, how much work is being done to recruit EAs, because the funding is often there, it's the person that's not. That's one of the pieces of communication that is going to be part of this process, and somehow we need to incorporate as well. So it's just a thought that we're having, because when you look through the list, many things are things that are already happening. So outdoor classrooms is yet another example where there's a lot of support for that financially from the board, and the surplus in September, taking a bit to institute, but at the same time it's coming. So
thank you. Greg?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to follow up on Mark's point, building on that. So that's really great to hear. I'm always interested in sort of how we, for example, if we're going to ask the public for feedback, how we're going to incorporate that feedback. And part of it, from what I'm hearing, is communicating back to the community some of the good work that we're already doing. So, for example, with perhaps the EAs, for example. But so there's the communication piece, and then there's also some other top priorities, which I'm assuming would come forward at some point for discussion. I think that's great, and so just thank you for that.
Thank you. Jessica?
That's all.
I feel it important to note that I read a real communication of the stress when we look at the family feedback. So if you identify and you could drill down just the family feedback on that link, the comments in the number one comment as identified here talks about bullying, but the description in that particular person's feedback is quite extreme. And then when we look at the other comments, the second is mental health supports. But given that that's our number one rated comment from families, I just think it's really important that we point that out and take a moment to consider that. That obviously one of the messages we're receiving in this thought exchange is a sense of significant concern, and I would say distress. I mean, the language there is not mild. So with regards to bullying in our schools and the effects of bullying. So just wanted to make sure that we kind of acknowledge that explicitly.
Thank you. I agree with you. It was it definitely stood out this year that we're getting feedback that's a little bit different than what we've traditionally seen in those budget questions. And I think that's important for us to take note of. Okay. Do we have any other questions on the thought exchange? Okay. Okay. That concludes 14.2. So I do not have any unfinished business this evening. Section 16 on your agenda package tonight is for information. 16.1 is the board motions report. 16.2 is trustee committee reports. Are there any questions on those items? Okay, great. That moves us into our question period. Oh, just need a moment, please. Okay, so we have 2 questions this evening. And perhaps what I'll do is read both questions, and I'm going to ask the superintendent to speak to them this evening. With that? Okay. Sure. The first question, please forgive me if I say your last name incorrectly, Eric Behrens. When will the vax mandates be removed? At this point, it seems pretty silly to be implementing it. The rest of Canada has already dropped it. Second question is from, yes?
Just a point of information.
Yes,
Order.
go ahead.
I believe that questions for question period have to be related to items that were on the agenda.
That's correct. I believe this relates to correspondence that the board received and filed.
Okay, thank you.
The second question received this evening is a related question from Ryan Dolan. Public health authorities recently provided guidance to UBC to drop rapid testing requirements as they were deemed ineffective at this time. As a result, UBC immediately discontinued this procedure. Are the trustees aware of this change, and are you willing to adjust to most recent evidence-based science? And so perhaps I will start with a partial answer and pass it to the superintendent. I would like to address specifically, are trustees aware of this change? Yes, trustees are aware of this change. Superintendent Sewell?
Yeah, sorry. So to the question, which is, just read it again for me.
When will the vax mandates be removed?
Well, I can't comment on when they would be removed, but staff can anticipate an update prior to spring break. So either tomorrow, Thursday, March 10th, or Friday, March 11th, there will be an update to staff. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I believe that covers the answer to both questions. That takes us to the next item on our agenda, which is an adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Naomi, seconded by Greg. Is there any objection? No objections. We're adjourned at 7:14. Thank you, everyone.